Alex felt stuck. Each day was a repeat of the last. His alarm clock would scream at 7 in the morning. He would hit the snooze button, not once, but many times. Finally, he would drag himself out of his warm bed. His energy was already low. The day had barely begun. He felt a heavy sigh escape his lips. Another day, he thought, just like all the others. He wondered if this was all life had to offer him. His mornings were a blur, a quick, unsatisfying breakfast, a rushed commute through morning traffic, then the office. It was a place of muted colors and quiet keyboards. Alex worked as a data analyst. The numbers and spreadsheets once held a certain appeal, but now, they just seemed endless. He would stare at his screen for hours. His focus would drift. He longed for something more engaging, something that made him feel alive. The afternoons were no better. More meetings, more emails, more tasks that felt meaningless. He often found himself watching the clock, counting down the minutes until he could leave. He knew he wasn't performing at his best. He wasn't inspired. He felt a sense of guilt about this, but he didn't know how to change it. The sheer weight of his routine felt crushing. It left no room for new thoughts or new energy. Evenings offered little relief. He would arrive home tired, too tired to cook a proper meal, too tired to pursue any hobbies. He would often order takeout. Then he would sit in front of the television, mindlessly scrolling through channels or social media. Before he knew it, it was late, time for bed, only to wake up and repeat the same draining cycle. This pattern had become his normal, a normal he desperately wanted to break. One Saturday, Alex found himself wandering aimlessly. The sky was overcast. It matched his mood perfectly. He didn't have any plans. He rarely did these days. He passed by a small, quiet park. He decided to sit on a bench for a while. He watched children playing. He listened to the distant city sounds. He felt a profound sense of emptiness. He knew something had to change. But what? And how? He pulled out his phone. Not to scroll social media, but to search for answers. He typed in vague phrases. How to change your life. How to find motivation. He stumbled upon an article. It talked about the power of small habits. It mentioned how tiny, consistent actions could lead to big results. This idea was simple, almost too simple. But it resonated with him. It felt less daunting than a complete life overhaul. The article featured a quote, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." Alex read it several times. It made him think about his current habits. Snoozing the alarm, mindless scrolling, eating takeout. These were all small, repeated actions, and they were shaping his life. They were shaping who he was becoming. He realized his current identity was built on these passive habits. A tiny spark ignited within him, a flicker of hope. What if he could choose different habits? What if he could intentionally build a new routine, one small step at a time? The thought was exciting. It was also a little scary. But for the first time in a long time, Alex felt a sense of agency. He felt like he could actually do something. He didn't need a grand plan. He just needed one small positive habit to start with. Alex spent the rest of the weekend thinking, what small habit could he adopt? He knew it had to be something manageable, something he could stick to, even on his low-energy days. He considered exercising for 10 minutes, or maybe meditating, but those felt like they required a certain mindset he didn't possess yet. He needed something even simpler, something that felt almost effortless. He wanted to set himself up for success, not failure. He remembered his childhood love for reading. He used to devour books. Stories transported him to different worlds. Nonfiction taught him new things, but somewhere along the way, life got busy. Reading became a luxury he thought he couldn't afford. Now he saw it differently. Perhaps reading could be his small habit. It could be a way to reclaim a part of himself he had lost. It felt gentle yet powerful. He decided he would wake up just 30 minutes earlier each weekday. Not to work more, not to rush, but to read. 30 minutes felt achievable. It wouldn't drastically disrupt his sleep, but it would give him a quiet, dedicated space. A space before the demands of the day began. He chose reading because it offered mental stimulation, it offered escape, and it offered the chance for personal growth. He felt a quiet determination settle within him. The why was important too. He wasn't just reading to pass time, he was reading to invest in himself, to broaden his horizons, to find new ideas and inspiration. He hoped this small act would create a positive ripple effect. He wanted to start his day with intention, rather than reaction. He bought a new book that evening, a novel he had wanted to read for months. He placed it on his bedside table, ready for his new beginning. The first Monday morning arrived. The alarm went off at 6:30. 30 minutes earlier than usual. Alex's immediate instinct was to hit snooze. His warm bed felt incredibly inviting. The old habit was strong. It pulled at him. He lay there for a moment. He remembered his decision. He remembered the feeling of hope. With a groan, he pushed himself out of bed. The first battle was won, but it was a struggle. He made a cup of tea. He sat in his favorite armchair with his new book. The house was quiet. It was a peaceful change from his usual rushed mornings. However, his mind was not yet quiet. He found it hard to concentrate. His thoughts kept drifting to his to-do list, to the emails waiting for him. He reread the same paragraph multiple times. After what felt like an eternity but was only 30 minutes, he closed the book. He had only read a few pages. He felt a little disappointed. The next few days were similar. Waking up was a conscious effort. Reading felt like a discipline, not a pleasure. Some mornings he would nod off, other mornings he would just stare blankly at the page. He started to doubt himself. Was this really making a difference? It felt so small, so insignificant. The temptation to go back to his old routine was strong. It whispered to him that this was pointless, that he was just tiring himself out for no good reason. He remembered the article. It said consistency was key. It also mentioned that new habits often feel uncomfortable at first. This was normal. He decided to focus on the act of showing up, not on how many pages he read, or how focused he was. His goal was simply to sit in the chair with the book for 30 minutes. He told himself that was enough. He was building the muscle of consistency, even if it felt weak and shaky. Section 5. Whispers of Change, Noticing the Early Wins. After about 2 weeks, something began to shift. It was subtle, almost imperceptible at first. Waking up at 6:30 in the morning started to feel a little less like a battle. He still had to push himself, but the resistance was lessening. He found himself actually looking forward to his quiet reading time. It was becoming a small island of peace, a calm start before the daily storm. This tiny shift in his morning experience was significant. He started to absorb more of what he was reading and his concentration improved slightly. He finished his first book, then he started another. He felt a small sense of pride, a little spark of accomplishment. This feeling was new. It wasn't tied to work performance or external validation. It was for him. This internal reward made the habit more attractive. He was no longer just forcing himself, he was being drawn to it. He noticed other small changes too. He felt a little less irritable in the mornings and arrived at work feeling a bit more alert. Not dramatically so, but enough to notice. His thoughts felt clearer. Perhaps it was the reading itself, or perhaps it was the act of doing something positive for himself. Whatever the reason, he felt a gentle uplift in his overall mood. These were the whispers of change, quiet, but definitely there. The 30 minutes of reading started to feel like his own special time, a non-negotiable part of his day. He began to protect it. He went to bed a little earlier to ensure he wasn't too tired. This small habit was beginning to create other positive adjustments. He was learning that one good choice could pave the way for more. The initial struggle was fading, being replaced by a quiet satisfaction, a sense that he was on the right path. Section 6. The Ripple Effect, How One Habit Influenced All. The consistent act of morning reading began to send ripples outward into other areas of Alex's life. It was like dropping a small pebble into a still pond. The effects spread further than he initially imagined. His mind, sharpened by daily reading, became more curious. He started exploring topics beyond fiction. He delved into books on productivity, communication, and even philosophy. Each book opened new doors in his thinking. At work, his colleagues began to notice a change. Alex was more engaged in discussions. He started offering thoughtful insights. Ideas sparked from his reading found their way into his projects. He felt more confident sharing his perspectives. His focus improved. The endless spreadsheets didn't seem so daunting anymore. He approached his tasks with a renewed sense of purpose. This was not an overnight transformation. It was a gradual unfolding, powered by those quiet 30 minutes each morning. His personal life also saw positive shifts. He found himself having more interesting conversations. He had new ideas and stories to share. He even reconnected with an old friend. They started a small book club, just the two of them. This simple connection brought him joy. He realized his reading habit was not just about consuming information. It was about connecting with ideas, with authors, and with other people. His world felt richer. The initial habit of reading for 30 minutes had laid a foundation of discipline and self-care. He started to think about other small changes he could make. He began taking short walks during his lunch break. He started preparing healthier meals a few times a week. These new habits didn't feel overwhelming, because he now understood the power of starting small. And the power of consistency. One good habit was breeding others. Section 7. Overcoming the plateau, the power of consistency. After several months, Alex hit a plateau. The initial excitement had worn off. The habit of reading was established, but some mornings it felt like a chore again. Life would get busy, he would have a late night, or he would simply feel unmotivated. The temptation to skip a day, then another, was strong. He recognized this critical juncture. This was where old patterns could easily resurface. He knew he had to be vigilant. He reminded himself why he started. He thought about the positive changes he had experienced, the increased clarity, the improved mood, the new connections. He didn't want to lose that progress. He realized that motivation is fickle. It comes and goes. But commitment is a choice. He recommitted to his 30 minutes. Even on days when he didn't feel like it. He focused on the system, not just the immediate feeling. He chose his long-term well-being over short-term comfort. To overcome the lull, Alex introduced small variations. He changed his reading spot sometimes, from his armchair to the kitchen table, or even to a park bench on a nice morning. He experimented with different genres. Sometimes he would listen to an audiobook while preparing breakfast. This kept the habit fresh and engaging. He learned that habits don't have to be rigid. They can be flexible, as long as the core action remains consistent. He also practiced self-compassion. If he did miss a day, he didn't beat himself up. He didn't let one missed day turn into 2 or a week. He simply got back on track the next morning. He understood that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. This mindset was crucial. It prevented him from falling into the all-or-nothing trap. He was learning to be a kind and patient coach to himself. This resilience in maintaining his habit was a victory in itself. Section 8. The Transformation Unveiled. A new Alex emerges. A year passed, then another. Alex barely recognized the person he used to be. The man who dragged himself through each day. The man who felt stuck and uninspired. That version of Alex seemed like a distant memory. The new Alex was different. He was vibrant. He was engaged. He was genuinely happy. The transformation wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was the quiet, steady accumulation of those daily 30 minutes of reading. Little by little, a little became a lot. His career had taken a significant upward turn. His improved focus, creativity, and communication skills had been noticed. He received a promotion. He was now leading a small team, a role he would have never imagined himself in a few years prior. He enjoyed mentoring his team members. He shared insights from his reading. He fostered a positive and growth-oriented environment. His work now felt meaningful. It felt purposeful. He was no longer just a data analyst. He was a leader. Emotionally, Alex was stronger and more resilient. He handled stress better. He was more optimistic. His relationships deepened. He was a better listener, a more interesting conversationalist. He felt a profound sense of self-worth. This wasn't based on external achievements, but on the knowledge that he could set a goal and stick to it. He had built an identity as someone who invests in himself, someone who values growth. This internal shift was perhaps the most significant change of all. The tiny habit of reading 30 minutes a day had been the catalyst. It didn't just add knowledge, it reshaped his mindset. It built discipline. It opened him up to new possibilities. Alex often marveled at how such a small change could have such a profound impact. He learned that you don't need to make massive changes to transform your life. You just need to start with one small, consistent habit, and trust the power of compounding. Section 9. Your turn to shine. Embracing your own small step. Alex's story is not unique, it is a testament to a simple truth. Small habits can lead to remarkable transformations. You have the power to change your life, just like Alex did. It doesn't require a grand gesture, it doesn't require superhuman willpower. It begins with one small step, one tiny habit, consistently practiced, day after day. This is the secret to unlocking your potential. Think about your own life. Is there an area you want to improve? Your health, your career, your relationships, your personal growth? Choose one small action. Something so easy you can't say no? Want to exercise more? Start with 5 minutes of walking. Want to write a book? Start with 1 sentence a day. Want to learn a new skill? Start with 10 minutes of practice. The key is to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Don't overwhelm yourself. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. There will be days when you falter. That's okay. Everyone stumbles. The important thing is to get back on track, forgive yourself, and begin again the next day. Celebrate your small wins, acknowledge your progress. Each time you perform your habit, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You are building a new identity. The journey of 1,000 miles truly begins with a single step. Your transformation is waiting. It's not hidden in some complex formula. It's found in the simplicity of daily action. Choose your small habit today. Start now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is when you decide to begin. Embrace the power of tiny changes, and watch as your life begins to bloom in ways you never thought possible. Your turn to shine starts now.